are welcoming the energy of the third spark, and that includes the third chakra. For those of you who are familiar with the chakra system, it's also encompassing a lot of other energies that have to do with feng shui and astrology. So what we've done with Soul Spark 7 is we have combined our three specialties, I guess, if you will, into this class series, or the topics that we choose each month for our calls. And with this particular one, we're talking about all of those words that start with self. So self-empowerment, self-love, self-worth, self-acceptance, self-care. Can anyone think of any other self words that are positive words?
Self-honor.
Self-honor.
Self-worth.
Self-worth.
Self-respect.
Oh, I like self-respect. I like
self-acceptance.
Self-acceptance.
Self-appreciation.
Appreciation, that's a big one. Because how many of us really do that? Stop and take time to appreciate ourselves and our gifts. And what about the opposite words? We have self-sabotage. What else?
Doubt.
Self-doubt.
Self-negating.
Negating.
Ooh, self-hatred.
Ooh, self-hatred. I hate that one. I hate that one. Ooh, loathing.
Oh, yeah, that one.
Self-loathing. That one I hear get thrown around a lot. So what does all of this cause when we use those negative words?
A stomach ache.
A stomach ache? Or does the inner critic, you know, I posted this morning about the inner critic, when you get into that self-doubt, you know, say you're doing something and then you start doubting yourself. Is this right? Is this good enough? Is this going to resonate? Then you get that inner critic going in your head, right? That says, oh, you better start over. That's not good enough. You're not good enough. Can you guys relate?
Yeah.
Do any of you have a story or an example of an event that you did, or a time where you experienced this inner critic that maybe made you feel flattened out and wanting to give up and have to start over?
I just had an experience with this. So I did this prayer run, and I was like going and going for like a week from the time I went up, from the time I went to sleep, like coordinating volunteers and then doing the UN thing. And I wasn't acknowledged at the end, like with all the other runners. And I just thought like, oh, like I didn't do enough. I could have done more. Like I'm not valuable. Like started getting in comparison mode. It's really depleting on my energy.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure we can all relate, and we've all had moments that are like this. And how did you pull yourself out of it, Danielle? Were you able to turn that around and start giving yourself positive talk, positive reinforcement, so that you could say, enough of that inner critic, shut the hell up, and you know, start over, because tomorrow is another day and we get another chance, right?
Yeah, I feel like talking to Whitney, she's my best friend, helped me a lot. It took me a while. I feel like I just got to go down that rabbit hole into that darkness a little bit, like recognize patterns from my previous relationship, and just really learn to like validate and honor myself. And then I just did a healing session yesterday or the day before with my friend Chantel, so that helped a lot too. Just bringing back some soul pieces and just recognizing what was going on. And
Very good.
so having my intuition validated of things that I had felt that were going on.
Mm-hmm. And then were you able to take all of those pieces and, I mean, how did you actually incorporate that so that you could look at it through fresh eyes and start over and do it again?
Just recognizing like the cycles of life, having like flashbacks, I guess you'd call them, of all the times I look for validation in others and like my worth in others, and just really that I'm ready and aware now to break those chains and those cycles, and just really show up for myself and just validate myself, because seeking outside of me has never really worked, maybe temporarily, but just realizing that I create all of these things and these experiences, and I can have balanced chakras. I've been doing the stars meditations every morning. I'll just go like from like the first chakra all the way up. Try to do something with the 8th chakra, but I don't have a lot of information on that. I know like you believe in that one, I feel, but yeah, just working and trusting the process and listening to guidance and messages that are all around me.
That's awesome.
And then also just knowing that I'm not alone. There's been a lot of people depressed lately, so I don't know astrology as much, but I'm not alone in that.
Right. Thank you. Star, do you want to tell everyone about that meditation, that chakra meditation that has helped her and can maybe help other people?
Well, several years ago, I wrote a CD. I produced a CD where I wrote a meditation, about a 20-minute meditation for each one of your chakras. And it is called You Can Heal Your Life, One Chakra at a Time. And you can, Danielle, how did you get it? I've never downloaded and got it. So how did you get it, Danielle? It's called You Can Heal Your Life One Chakra at a Time, and I believe you can download it.
Yeah, so originally I had got some CDs from Jenny, but I did download it on Amazon.
Okay, there you go.
Awesome. So today, and I'm sure True has some input with this too, and I'll turn that over to her in just a second. But today I was actually working on a therapist, a psychologist, and I do a lot of psychologists in my business. And I mentioned to her that tonight we had a call about self-esteem, and she gave me some really valuable input on it. And she said this: your feelings are related to your inner child. So how you feel and how you process what you feel, you're actually working with your inner child. What you think about it or your thoughts related to it are your adult self speaking. And then the third thing is what you have been taught. And that's what you've been taught by your parents, of course, and by your grandparents and society and teachers. And these things may not be true. The things that you've been taught may not be true. So in order to really process your self-esteem, because the stories that we tell ourselves are the things that determine our self-esteem and how powerful that's going to be. And so in order to change how your self-esteem is blossoming within you, you have to go into how you feel about the circumstance. So Danielle, in your case, you're feeling unacknowledged. That awareness of that is the first step in changing your story, right? Because you can't change your story if you don't acknowledge how you feel about the story. So in order to change how you feel about the story, you need to go into that inner child, that part of you that is innocent, the part that came to this earth before you became an adult and you could rationalize, right? The thinking part. rationalize it is key in changing your story. And she said that one of the really valuable things that she uses in her therapy sessions is to actually take a doll and hold the doll. And that doll becomes you, your inner child, that part of you that was young and fresh and innocent and worthy of love, right? No one, not one of us can hold the child, the baby that represents us, and say that that child is not worthy. Is there one of you who could hold your inner child, your fresh new baby, and say that child is not worthy? Probably not, because the child is innocent. Any thoughts on that, True?
Yeah, I just had to mute and unmute. Okay, so I always find it very interesting. You know, I'm always often talking about the shadow side of every aspect. One of my most powerful year-long classes that I taught was the shadow side of each one of the chakras. And it just so happens to be such a great synchronicity that right before we're ready to start into this third spark, I was down in Mesquite this weekend, and I had the most interesting little thing happen. I'm going to explain it to you right now. And I took my grandchildren to go up to the snack bar and to get, they each wanted a virgin pina colada. And the line was quite long, and then there was about a 10-foot space between, there were these two women standing back by the trash can smoking. And I walked right past them and got in line. And I have the two kids, and a fleeting second thought, I should ask them if they're in line, but it doesn't look like it. So there was obvious acknowledgement about it. And I'm sorry if you can hear these three in the background screaming, because I've got my grandkids. I'm hoping you can't, but okay, so there they are. And all of a sudden I heard this woman say, "Are we invisible?"
Oh.
And I turned and I said, "I'm sorry, I didn't realize you were in line. I thought were you in line?" I said, "I thought you were taking a smoke break." And she said, "Yeah, we're in line. We're smoking while we wait." Right? And I said, "Okay, sorry about that." And we proceed forward. And the two of them, they looked like maybe they were a couple. I don't know. It was hard to know for sure. We get up to the counter to order. And the one orders, there's two guys that are taking orders. And I say to them, "Are you ordering with him or are you together?" Acknowledging again, I do not want to step on her toes again, right? So we get up to the counter and it's our turn to order, and Taya and crew are saying, "Hey, Mimi, can I this?" or "Mimi, that." And the one woman starts to say, "Oh, Mimi, I can have anything I want, Mimi," like this, right? And I didn't say anything back. And then that song that comes on, that's like, "You think you're cooler than me," you know, that there's whatever the rest of the words are to that. She was kind of like bouncing to it, and then she'd go, "You think you're better than me," right? And she's standing next to me, like shoulder to shoulder, and I don't acknowledge or even go down this path, but it stung like it did when I was younger, right? Because I put up with this kind of shit my whole life. And it was interesting to see my own fear feelings start to come back up. So here's the shadow side of this third spark and what we all go through sometimes in our lives. And I'm standing there thinking, this is so fucking junior high. Are you kidding me right now? A, to myself, and B, to my thoughts about them. And in that moment, that was the other thing, like I got mojitos, so they're like, "Oh, fancy." I mean, they just kept going on, right? They were being serious bitches. And it was triggering me, and I was triggering them. And all of this third spark stuff about self-esteem, self-worth, self-love is just all over the place. And after they left, my son-in-law came up and helped me carry the drinks back and stuff. And then they took their 4 drinks to 2 other women that looked just like them in the other end of the pool, and then proceeded to need to walk past I don't know, to exert their meanness again. I don't know what it was, but I was like, wow, serious? So I started processing on that, and the next day it really came up with, I don't think I'm better than you. You believe you're less than me. And I let it go. And in that moment, it was so many things that came to light because of this silly triggering experience. And I'm sure you can feel, as I'm talking, I'm sure you can feel even the emotion that's there, because this is something that has gone on and on and on. And I'm sure all you pretty women, I know you've experienced it before. I know you've had those crabby ass women be there and be that way, right? So here we are. We're just doing the best we can do at every point of the journey in our lives. And we're completely capable of drawing in these experiences to show us where our shadow wounds are still at. And we're completely capable of triggering that in someone else because they have their own thing going on. And yet, you know, here I was just going up to get drinks. I wasn't thinking that I needed to trigger anybody, but there it was. And those kind of shadow experiences, boom, they happen when we're least prepared for it. So a lot of the things Danielle was sharing and Autumn were sharing, they have to do around that idea. Mm-hmm. So I just, you know, if you want to continue to comment on that or ask questions, I'm going to mute a little because I've got 3 kids in the background that I don't want to make it too noisy. So,
yeah. Would anyone like to share an experience they've had or insight, or maybe how you handled similar experiences in your life?
Well, I'm going to comment on that just because now I'm triggered. And so now I would love some feedback or some input, or I'll process this for the next day or two, because I was there with Drew in junior high. I saw how the girls treated her in junior high. I fought over that. There was a time that I had to come to stand up to the bullies because they were going after Drew after school one day because their boyfriends were looking twice at her. She's in 7th grade. So I'm hearing her talk and I'm like, oh, hell no, if I were there. And so now I'm asking myself, what if I was there? And there's a reputation that I've been chasing my whole life. And sometimes Drew brings it up as the Payson mean girls, the mean girls from Payson. So now I'm asking myself, what would I have done if I were there? Would that, I guess what Autumn is saying, that inner child in me, would that have put up her fists? And why? You know, I mean, I know why, because somebody that I care about was just insulted. And would I have resorted to violence? Would I have resorted to mouthing off? Would I have resorted to my junior high age, which was if you didn't fight in junior high, you got your ass kicked where I come from. And Drew can vouch for that. So I learned to fight at a very young age. And so I'm just wondering, I'm feeling triggered. And I'm wondering what if I were there, if I would have handled it with the grace and ease that Drew handled it. And if not, why? Why? I don't know.
And does that saying, sticks and stones will break your bones, or names will never hurt you, does that come up? Because that's what I was taught, you know, that people walking away, you know, just walk away. It's just words.
well, and also I feel that for me, it brought up a recognition or an acknowledgement that, you know, the fear of having my ass kicked for just being me, or even the other part where, you know, why can't girls or women just be nice? Like, why do they always have to be this way? And jealousy, you know, that comes up. So there was this fear, but then there was the funny part of actually imagining myself saying something back And these women who were easily 3 times my size, and 4 of them, right? Kicking ass on, like, I could see all the adults fist fighting in the pool and all the grandkids going, "Wah!"
Yeah, I was going to ask you, would it be different if your grandkids weren't there because you're modeling a behavior, right?
No, true. It wouldn't
No.
be. True just is that way. I would be the one throwing a fist, and True would be graceful. And True, you just gave me my aha. I know exactly why I would have fought them. In your honor, I know why I would have fought them.
Because I wouldn't swing.
No, what you just said, you're looking at these women and they're twice your size. What I would have, I don't have confidence in my size. I've never liked being a little person. I want to be tall and gorgeous. I want long, sexy legs. I don't want to weigh, well, what I used to weigh before menopause. I defend because I don't have confidence in my size. So I would have turned around and said, oh yeah, well, my mother used to say dynamite comes in small packages. And I would have been lit. So yeah, okay, I had my aha. I don't have confidence because of my size.
Who would have fought? And who would have walked away? And
I would have
Liz,
walked away.
You would have walked away.
Yeah, you know, I would like to say this something similar. Well, so my kids just got married, and I went to with my daughter-in-law's parents, and we were picking out the decorations. We went to a place in Payson, and the lady's probably 3 times my size, and she turns to me and she's like, "Well, if we could all look like this skinny little bitch," and I just sat there. And I mean, obviously never said one word to this. Well, my daughter got married 2 weeks before that. And this same lady, we bought the decorations from her. And she was a little snooty with me then. But then she just kept saying it. Well, if we could all just look like this skinny little bitch. And she's just so prissy and so beautiful. Well, I've never thought of myself as beautiful, ever. And so, like, it just hurt. And finally, after about the 4th time, I turned to her and I said, you know, I said, skinny people have feelings too. And she just backed away and went, oh, you do? And I was like, yeah. So that was kind of a conversation. While my ex-husband used to make me I was unable to wear lace or skin tight clothing. And he would tell people that, or if I walked into a room, he would say, people just turn and stare at you. And it was a bad thing. So I was told how I could dress and how I could present myself. And so then, of course, this woman says that, boy, we talk about triggers. So I handled it better than I probably would have. And I just said, you know, skinny people, you know, they have feelings too. And what do you say to somebody who, I mean, it'd be like me still telling somebody you're overweight and you should do something about it. There's no difference. There is really no difference. You are not saying it with a nice energy behind it. You are being mean. If she would have said it nicer, it probably would have been a compliment. But anyway, so I think it can be on both ends of the stick, depending on the energy that somebody puts behind it. So I took offense.
Debbie, how does that affect your self-esteem? How did that experience, did that affect your self-esteem or your self-worth?
Well, like I said, I've never felt that I was pretty or beautiful. I've been cut down most of my life. So I guess I didn't see that. So when she said it to me, but she didn't say it nicely, it was like, I didn't take it as a compliment. It made it feel like all over again that once again I'm being judged, or that I need to change the way I look, or I need to be different than what I am because I'm not presentable to that person. So yeah, I've struggled with self-worth and judgment my whole life. So.
And have you found any particular rituals or books or exercises that you do to turn that around for yourself so that you change your story?
I have worked on myself for the last 5 years, and I can tell you that I like myself now. And every day I look in the mirror and tell myself that I'm pretty. And tried, I'm working on it every single day. And, I'm always reading. I'm always looking for, I probably look outside of myself for validation, which I'm trying more and more to get away from that. But I work on myself every day.
Who looks outside of themselves for validation? All of us. So how do we change our story? How do we change our story so that that camera or that light comes full circle and shines back on us? And we can look in the mirror and with true feelings and truthfulness and integrity and authenticity say that woman in the mirror is worthy no matter what anyone else thinks. And that woman is lovable no matter what anyone else thinks. Any thoughts on that?
Mm-hmm.
I kind of want to share this experience. Can you guys hear me?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. So when she was talking, it like triggered something inside of me, because being told that you're not good enough and actually having, instead of just your self-critic saying it, having somebody else from the outside say it hurts, just as bad, if not even more. And the situation that happened was I was purchasing some land, and I had never bought just raw land before. And so I'm doing my research and I'm figuring things out. And in the meantime, talking to the guy that I'm buying it from. And he was telling me some things that I was like, wait a minute, like I had already done the research on that. I read up on that. I already know that. And he's like, oh, no, that's not the way it is. And I was like, okay. And so then I was like doubting myself that I didn't know and trusting somebody else and letting things go. And then in the process, I had something had come back and all the numbers were wrong. And I had told him already. And he said, no, I already walked this, but maybe we should have somebody that's smarter than us do it, because I'm just a mailman and you're just a pig farmer's wife. And I, at that point, could have lost my shit. But thank goddess that I had met with Starana and started this journey, because I was able to pull myself out and kind of just like sit back with that and sit with it for a minute. In the long run, it ended up costing me $3,800. Yeah. But I mean, getting the recognition and being like, okay, yeah, I have to fix this mistake. But guess what? I'm smarter than just a pig farmer's wife. And I knew it. So that was really good.
And don't you love that word, just?
Yeah.
Just a farmer's wife. Is there such a thing as just?
No, I'm so much more than that. And to have somebody on the outside chop me up to something so little without knowing me or knowing anything about me or knowing that I'm an Aries and I will be the nicest bitch you ever met, just blew my mind.
I love
Could
it.
have ripped him a new one.
I love it.
So I just paid the money. I was like, okay. All right, guy. And now we're done.
And moving on.
Yeah. So to have somebody else on the outside come in and beat you up more than you're already beating yourself up is awful.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how do we stop? So, okay, that's your truth. That's what you believe, right? But I'm not going to eat that. but it's hard not to eat that.
It is really hard. It is. Any advice here?
You know, Whitney and everybody, I kind of feel like that when somebody does it on the outside, it actually invokes anger, which actually is a cue or a key for us to know that we have self-love, self-esteem, and self-worth. Because I feel that when it triggers us to go, fuck you, no, that's not true about me. That's like us rewarding ourselves in a sense, right? We go, oh, wait, I do love me. I do care about me, right? I think we really have to worry when we go, yeah, you're right. I'm just a pig farmer's wife, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
I think that's a much more dangerous place. But when we can actually react, even in, you know, the situation where I processed through, and what this message came through, and I'm going to post it on our wall, was this. And tell me if this triggers anybody, if you read this or heard this. But, you know, I don't think I'm better than you. You believe you're less than me. Because that's really the truth of how it came across for me. I was like, you know, I didn't do anything to attract this, but it did show up for me to see the third chakra. Whoops, we got to fight. Hold on. Go ahead.
I find that, you know, when you get to that point of the fuck you, when that anger comes out, for me, it's like the catalyst for action. And I get to choose what that action is going to be. And if you can just stop, and if I can just stop and stand back for just a moment and ask myself, you know, is this coming from a loving place? What can I do in this moment to show myself the most respect and the most love? It's not about the other person, it's about me. So how do I put this anger into a positive action that will reflect back on me in a way that grows my self-esteem, in a way that grows how powerful I feel, in a way that will support my growth and not allow me to look back and be disappointed in the reaction that I gave the power to. Does that make sense? Anger is one of my strongest motivators. Because when I get to a point where I am, look, fuck you, that is when, because I'm really a pretty laid back person. And sometimes I'll let things, you know, go, and I'll let it go, and I'll let it go. And I'm not a fighter. If somebody is going to argue, I'm out of there so fast. You'll see smoke on my heels because I do not like fighting. But if I get to a point where I'm angry, I can use that energy to become something far greater than I am in that moment. But it takes not blowing your fuse and reacting, right? Does anyone else go that way? Move that way? You do, Stephanie? Do you want to tell us about it? You're muted. Unmute yourself down there on the left. There you go.
Okay, cool. Well, I'm like you. I think we talked about that before. I'll avoid confrontation at any cost, and I'll turn and run from it. There's been a few times, though, when I've had to, you know, stand up for myself. And one time, and this was a fight I was having with my husband. He's been passed now for 9 years, so too bad. We were having a fight, and I can't remember what it was about, but he called me a bitch. He said, you're such a bitch. And it pissed me off, but I was able to think, and I just said, you know, you ought to be damn grateful that I have that bitch, because I pull my bitch out when I need her to stand up for the things that, you know, what we need. Because he was an introvert. He was like a thing person. He couldn't handle dealing with people. So anytime we needed something with the house, or we were building his garage. I did all that kind of the phone calls, the conversations, everything. And I'm just told, I'm really, really patient. So if something's wrong and I've done it several times, asked for it and it doesn't come through, or they, they don't do it, then that's when I'll pull, that's why, I just told them, that's when I pull my bitch out and I get it done, but I have a lot of patience and I do avoid confrontation, but I just told them, you have to be grateful that I have that bitch. I actually have a warrior that I sort of created as a child. I needed that warrior to survive. And so I'll pull, that's my bitch or my warrior out. And, by that time, nothing, stops me. I just, I go for it. And I always remember my friends and I were in Wendover, and I have, to me, I'm like average. I had some gorgeous friends, and there was this man following one of them. When we were in a casino, we decided to leave that casino, get on the shuttle to go somewhere else. And he came out, and I can't remember, we were all joking and laughing. And he came up and he said, "You can't leave yet. I didn't get to know you." And my friends still laugh about it this day because we were laughing. They said, suddenly your face instantly changed and this meanest, coldest bitch came out. And I turned around and I said, and I said something real, I can't remember what I said, and something like, "You're not going to," and just, and they still just laugh about it. They said, instant, you were happy, and then suddenly this, came out, and he just went, okay, and then he left, and so, she's there when I need her, but I will run from, I hate confrontation, I hate fights, I hate, yeah, but if it comes to the point where I get mad or I need to, then I'll pull my warrior out or my bitch or whatever and go for it. Nothing stops me. And by that time, it's not so much about emotion, it's about what's right for me, and it's not, I do that even in my dealings, and maybe that's, when I go purchase something, all emotion is gone. It's like a business transaction. I was purchasing furniture for my whole house, and I just told the man, I need less than what this is, I need another $800 off of this. And I'm going to be buying all this. And it wasn't about emotion. I just told him, and if you do right in the future, I'll find you to get more. And so I just don't let emotion, I took my friend with me and I said, don't be surprised if I say no and we turn around and walk away, even though I want that, because I will do it. And then, it happened, and her eyes went really big, and I said, no, that doesn't work. And, if I have to, I'll go find another salesman that will do it for me. And so it's always worked. And sometimes I will walk away and go back and I'll find another salesman. I wanted a coffee table once, and I said, if you give me $20 off, I'll take it right now. And he no. So I went and found another salesman, and he did it. And, the same with my car. I got him down to cost. I mean, this guy was like, and so I just think, by that time, it's like, it's what's fair, and I just don't let my emotions get in that. But if it came down to like the situation, I missed the first, because I was working today. If there's something going on like that, I'll just like, or a fight. If there's a fight, I really will turn. I saw a fight once, and I turned around and I hoofed it. I'm serious. I probably should have went to help the person, but I was, I'm like, I'm out of here.
Oh, Stephanie, you kill me. You crack me up. You know, there's one theme, you know, Stephanie, you said something that really clicked for me, and you said, do what's right. And I think each situation is different, and we have to ask ourselves what's right in this particular situation. But there's a common theme in each one of your stories, and that is that we stand for one another in protection. Stephanie, you stood up for a sister. You know, Star, you stood up for your sister over and over and over. And what would happen in this world if all of us said, not on our watch? We stand up for one another and we do what's right. And it's really that easy. And if it's just about ourselves and we think about the inner child, and in that situation, we take ourselves within to that inner child, that innocent being, then what will happen? A switch gets turned on, and who of us would not protect that inner child within ourselves?
Yeah.
And that's really what self-esteem boils down to, that self-worth of I am worthy. To see ourselves as that innocent child who deserves everything the world has to offer. And no one has the right to take that away from you or me or any other woman.
No matter what your size is, no matter how short you are, no matter how skinny you are, no matter how tall you are, no matter how chubby you are,
How old you are.
how old, what color, what religion, we deserve our inner child to be loved. We deserve our adult to be loved. Now it's just the pathway there, and letting go of those belief systems that told us that we don't deserve that. Whether it came from our childhood or it came from our self-critic, there are beliefs that create energy patterns in our body. We store them in our tissues, in our muscles, in our blood. I about died because of what I stored in my blood. And it's just now what's the path? What's the next step? What do we do to empower that third spark? What do we do? What does it look like to stand in your power? What does it look like for me to stand in my power? That's the question of the month.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
And so with that, unless anyone has something more to offer or thoughts or ideas, I would challenge each one of you this month to ask yourself what you feel, what you think, and what you were taught. And go within, and as True has taught us, when you go within and you look at the fear, you look deeply into the fear, you meet your shadow self and all that that means. But it's in looking at the fear, in meeting it, and not running from it, and not covering it up or changing it into something else that you're pretending isn't there, but actually looking into that fear, into that pain, and asking yourself, does your inner child deserve better? And will you stand for what is right? And will you stand for your sisters in this world, whoever they are? And number one, will you stand for yourself? And please comment on our page. You know, as we go through this process in October, we'll actually be teaching a class about this subject. So we've got some time between now and then, you know, to really process these questions. And so be active on that page. Share your thoughts and your ideas and your comments. And then come and join us in October if you have time and you'd like to continue this conversation.
And
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, and don't be surprised if as you are actually working on this self-worth, self-love, this stuff with the self this month, that you don't have more triggers come up or more ahas, right? Because if you're building an altar, then we'll be posting things up about that type of thing. But if you're building an altar to honor this part of you, this third spark, you're going to draw energy in to heal, and energy in and a lot of times comes and smacks you right in the face, just like it did with me the other day, and triggers, you know. So be looking for them and ready to process them, but no, they'll probably always take you off guard first.
And I also want to add that as we are working on this third spark this month, and like Truth said, things are going to come up, and they can be painful, and they can be joyful, and they can be challenging, and they are not meant to do alone. The inner journey is a journey that we take within ourselves and alone, by ourselves, but we have outside support. None of us ever are required to go on this journey alone. We go inward by ourselves, but we have our support. And also on that note, on September 12th, Soul Spark 7 is scheduled for our signature healing sessions. We can only take 8 people. And those of you who have been on our tables in that healing session, I'm jealous of you. No. I want to be on the table with Soul Spark 7 working on you. It's such an amazing experience for Soul Spark 7, for the 3 of us. And we set up tables. We take 8 people. We do sound therapy. We do cord cutting. We do psychic surgery. We do meditations. It's a really beautiful evening. So any of you who are listening to this, who are not on here tonight, because who I'm looking at tonight, everybody except for, I think, Debbie has not joined in our group healing, though Debbie has a lot of experience. Yeah. But we are doing that September 12th, so I just want to put that up if anybody wants to look ahead on your schedule. And thank you so much. Seriously, thank you so much, each of you, your beautiful faces that I'm looking at. I feel so supported. I'm a little bit triggered tonight. I can feel the heat in my body with my sister's story. And I want to go back in time so I can be there with her and beat up on those women. And so I'm going to process why I want to fight so badly, even though I have been given a beautiful aha tonight, a really beautiful aha of not being okay with my size. And I am so excited to push through this month with all of you, you beautiful sisters. Thank you so much for being here tonight.
We love you all so much. You have no idea how much we talk about each one of you and how much we love you. Thank you for supporting us, for being there with us, and for standing with one another, because it is really magical to watch this tribe grow, and the friendships that have come out of this group have been amazing.
Yeah.
Okay. True statements.
Yep.
Again, we love you so much, and we'll look forward to comments on the wall.
Ta-ta, darlings.
Bye,
everyone.
See you soon.
Okay, good night.
Night.
Night.